Hey guys, look what I found inside the battery compartment of my Ego Lawn Mower. Alright guys, so what do we have here? Well, kind of had my eye on this at Lowe's. My understanding is that this is something they're just going to be exclusively, Home Depot had them, and I guess Lowe's is picking them up exclusively. And this is the Ego Power Mower, 21-inch cordless mower. And I got to tell you, I'm going way out on a limb getting something like this. I've never had anything cordless, never thought I would want a cordless lawnmower. I've got a very nice gasoline Toro personal pace unit. I believe it's also a 21-inch, and but I thought I'd give this thing a try, see how I like it. Now, these are 56 volts, and the battery that comes with it is 5 amp hours. And I was kind of looking at the, now this cost me $399 plus tax. There was no sale. This is the regular price. And I know that they had a Cobalt lawnmower for $450, which was on sale for $400. So essentially they're both the same price. So there's pros and cons. The Cobalt was self-propelled, which is going to take more power from the battery. They said, I don't know for a fact, but they had told me that you couldn't disengage it. So if you didn't want the self-propelled, it was still on. I'm thinking that was what I was told at the store. So you've got 56 volts versus the Cobalt 24 volt. I have no 56 volts from this Ego. I have none of their products. This is my first one. Although these batteries will fit all of their products. These 56 will fit all their products that they sell. I have tons of the 24 volt. So now this is saying that it runs up to 45 minutes. And at the 56 volts, who knows what the 24 volts will do. So even though I had plenty of batteries for the Cobalt, I decided, I heard a lot of good things from the one manager at the Lowe's, from people that were there, just a guy that worked there that said he'd used them. So we're going to give this thing a try and see. And but that's why I decided on buying this one, that you know, over the Cobalt. Again, not knowing anything more about the Cobalt than just what I was told, I think that in the long run, 56 volt will be better, because if this one runs for 45 minutes, I gotta suspect that the Cobalt is less than half of that. And I will be using this just for trimming. I've got 4 acres, so I have a Kubota 23 horse diesel. This would be just for trimming. So let's look at the cost of a battery. The 56 volt 5 amp hour lithium ion battery on Amazon is $214, regularly $250, and that's what Lowe's wanted, was the $250. So you've got that cost, And you need at least 2 batteries at the very least, because I have no idea how long this thing is going to run, even for trimming. So at some point, if I like this, I will end up having to buy at least 1 extra battery. So that's just something to think about when you're buying this, is your initial cost, and then also, but I see all those, and I haven't even looked at these yet. There's a lot of likes up there. This thing is just almost 5 stars. You know, over 4.5, whatever. So I will do a comprehensive review of this, and we'll see what we get. Well, let's open this box up and see how it's packed and see what you get. So the first thing you see when you open this thing up is they do have that lid glued very nicely. There's no staples in it, but it is glued. It's substantial. You have to pull on it to get it apart, which I like. So if we look at it from this side of the box, pull that flap back, we see that this is the battery. This looks like your structure for the bagger. This is your charger. This looks like the bagger, a chute, and your lawnmower. So let's start pulling some of this stuff out of here. Okay, so I've taken all the accessories, the loose items, out of the box. Now we have the lawnmower, which is still wrapped. Okay, with the plastic bag off, we see the lawnmower. Like the instruction manual down here. Take a look at that later. Let's get this thing out of the box. So here it is out of the box. Easy enough to lift by one person. I just lifted on both sides here, pulled it right out of the box. One thing that I see that I probably won't be able to do is I always wash with water, with a hose, my gasoline one, my Toro, but this I'll have to wipe down. I won't be able to hit it with water, I'm sure of that. Okay, so just by looking at this without even opening the directions, which you see, the first thing you see is this handle. This is really nice, push to unlock. So let's get that unlocked. Look at that. It's got a position right there. You want to let it down. It locks there. And it locks there. Let's see if it locks any differently. Yep. So it's got 3 positions. After storage, it's got a lock there, locks there, and locks there. So you could store that in your garage just like that, or fold it up. Now the good thing about something like this, it doesn't use oil. So I may make a hanger on the wall and actually store it vertically in the garage. Alright, so let's take a look at this battery. This thing is hefty, guys. This thing is, it's got some beef to it. So and let's take a look at this charger. In fact, I want to get this thing going. I want to get her plugged in, and so I can get this thing fired up today. Looks like you can hang it on your wall. Let's see, it says 3-inch, so there's 3-inch to the center line if you want to hang this up on the wall. It's got a really nice, to lift it up for your fingers back here to lift. And it also has indications up here for the charging rate when it's full, and then if it's defective, high temp, and the percentage of charge. Now there's the charging pins, positive, negative, and then it's got a D and then a T. So from left to right, positive, D, T, and negative. And up here, it shows when it's charging, your indicator, when it's full, what it looks like. The flashing green light, a solid green light, is fully charged. Over here we see that it says defective, flashing red light, high temp, a continuous red light. And then this is your charge of state indicators, 25, 50, 75, and 100%. So we're going to charge this battery. I want to get it going. I've got to look at the directions to see how long it takes. I'm looking on the battery. And, well, one thing I see, the battery was manufactured December of 2020. Let's see. Don't see. Alright. One thing, though, guys, this has a really, I mean, this, I'm a picky guy, and it's, this thing, just from outward, the weight, of course, all the cells in there, but it's really nicely constructed. All this black has a nice rubberized type feel to it, and there's some specs on it. So let's like I said, the charging unit is plugged in, just drops in there, sets down. There it is. 25% is flashing green. We've got a green and red here. Check red, orange, green, red, orange. Not sure what the orange is for, but we'll let that charge up. Now, according to the battery pack and charging time, the one that came with my unit is a B82800, a B82800. 56 volts, 5 amp hour, lithium ion. That's the only one that they show that's 5 amp hours, the BA2800. And the book says that the charge rate on something like that is approximately 40 minutes. Now the recommended ambient temperature for charging is 41 degrees Fahrenheit to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, or 5 degrees centigrade to 40 degrees centigrade. The specifications for the charger output is 56 volts max, 1000 milliamp hours, Li-ion type rechargeable battery pack, and the input is 120 volts, 60 hertz, 550 watts. The optimum storage temperature is 50 degrees Fahrenheit to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, or 10 degrees centigrade and 26 degrees centigrade. The battery weight of a BA2800 is 4.87 pounds. And so here you see your battery contacts. You have your cooling air ports right here in the base. And then your power indicator is right here. Now that power indicator indicates the charge capacity level of the battery pack. So when you press it to display the charge level, it will shine for 10 seconds and then shut off automatically, as you saw in the last clip. Now, if it's green, it indicates the battery pack is over 15% of its charge capacity. The red light indicates low voltage of the battery pack. The blinking red light indicates the battery pack is nearly depleted and needs to be charged immediately. Alright, so let's put that battery in. You lift up in the front side here, just like that. There's your lock. So when you take it out, you have to push that down. But let's go ahead and put this thing in there. Fits real easy. Push to click. Close that. You're good to go. You want to take the battery out. Push. Pops up. I think I'd hold it. There you go. Pull it out. Alright, so the battery's in. We want to get her fired up. Now, we haven't done anything else to this handle. Okay? It's in the same position it was when we took it out of the box. And to initiate this, you have to push this down, hold it, and as you're holding this, pull this lever, this dead man, so that's your safety. So the question becomes, in this configuration, as you see it here, will it start? Let's see. Push that in, and we're going to pull this forward. It should start. Now, as you notice, it has not started, and that button is still down. So when you release this, this will come up, the blades will stop. So how do we get this thing to run? So just below that switch, it says to start, fully extend side rails, then lock the clamps. So here's what they're talking about, guys. You've got one on each side, and it's got so that one's loose. We'll pull that one out. It's got a little extension there that fits into the hole that you see there, and it actually has one more extension. So if we pull it up just a hair, so let's try that. That's the very first set of notches that it has. Push that in, pull this, and it still does not start. And yes, it did say fully, but I wanted to see what that little second notch was. It was just so close to the other. So when you pull it out, it's going to have a mark down here. Once you get to that, you'll lock both sides down. So let's see what happens now. Push in. Now I'm not sure for the reason for that. There's a bagger that goes on it which would extend out, but if you weren't using the bagger, you wanted to stay closer to the unit, you couldn't. The advantage is the longer handle actually makes this thing easier to maneuver because you've got that extra leverage, that extra extension. It gives you that leverage of maneuverability of turning it and stuff. So in any event, it's got to be fully extended to activate the mower. So let's take a look at the handle position. This is position 1, right after storage position, with the handle fully extended. This is position 2. This is position 3 and the lowest that it goes. So let's see what this sounds like. We're going to have the mulching attachment in it and no bag, and we'll turn it on and see how it sounds. So now I've got the side discharge, and it comes out the back here, so which is somewhat odd from what I'm used to. Normally they come out the side of the unit that you see where my finger's pointing, but let's turn it on and see what it sounds like now when we have the side discharge. While we're back here, let's take a look at how this works. So this unit is your mulching attachment. It goes in there and it blocks it off so that it mulches. So let's lift this up and simply just stick it in here just like that. And that's your mulching attachment. So let's take a close-up look of this mulching attachment. This part goes into the mower, so this would close off the back side of the mower, this surface here. This acts as your handhold to grasp this when you put it into the mower. And as I showed, it goes in just like that. Next is your side discharge. You lift it up. You'll see these little notches here. They correspond to the unit, like you see here. You'll simply just set it. It doesn't push all the way through. It just sets on there. And then you push it up all the way. And this part here, where my finger is, will connect into an indentation on the back cover. And it's that simple. Now, let's take a look at this side discharge. It's going to go like this, sit in there like that. There's those little tabs that I showed in the bottom of that unit. These two will set in there. These are the stops, so it can't go all the way. Just enough for it to sit in there so it can't come out at the bottom. And then this, then when you bring down the back lid, it comes down and there's an impression in there that will lock on and hold that in there. And this is your support for the rear bagger. It's a wire frame. It's got two of these hooks on both sides. This goes on just like that. I'll show you, but this attaches to the back. So when I do that, those two hooks that I showed you, they will hook right on to this here and over here. There and here is where that'll hook to, and then the bottom part will rest. You got to pull this up. So I'll show. So we've got to lift the bottom up, go all the way up with it. Then you'll take those two hooks, hook in the position I showed you. As you can see down here, that metal just sets against here. Then you let this down and you're good to go. So now let's look at that with the bag put on. I wanted to show you the wireframe initially. So I've put the bag on, lift it all the way up, place it, set it down, and that's it. There's the hook point there, and the hook point right there, and then that wire frame here acts as your handle to lift it up out of the unit. Very simple. Now this is something I never use, but for you guys that use it, that's what we got. Now this attaches, to put this on, it's real simple. You'll see here it's got, you just, see how that is? It just comes on and off. It's got those kind of clips the whole way around. Here's the very bottom, same thing. So it would be very easy if you had to replace that bag if it got damaged. It'd be very easy to buy another one and maintain your original frame. Okay guys, you gotta love the attorneys. Warning, some dust created by power cutting contains chemicals known to the state of California to cause cancer, birth defects, or other reproductive harm. Some examples of these chemicals are, and it goes on. So I don't know, I guess they have to put that in there in case somebody wants to claim something, but that's in the manual to the mower. And here we have, should you experience any problems you cannot easily remedy, please contact EGO customer service, 1-855 5656. I'm going to give them a call tomorrow because for one, the grass isn't long enough yet to cut. I want to find out about the blade, how much they cost. It doesn't look like a standard blade. I want to see what a blade costs. I want to find out what kind of material the mower deck is, because you know, with my Toro, with the aluminum decks, and years ago steel deck, you're going to hit stones. I've hit, you know, you're going to hit things in the yard that you may not see. I want to know how this mower deck's going to hold up. And also about cleaning it. Like I said earlier, you won't be able to use water. I like to keep everything clean, although I'm thinking that the grass won't stick too well to this type of material, which is good. And if you have to tip it over, you don't have to worry about like you would with a gas mower, because there's no oil or anything to run back into a carb if you tip it wrong. But so I want to check on what they recommend for cleaning it. I mean, obviously I can use furniture polish that I use for a lot of things, but we're just going to find out about those. Those are the three main items that I want to give them a call on. So it looks like the no load speed is 2800 RPM. And here we're going to see our approximate cutting height settings. That's important because I'll show you. Here's what those numbers are. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so there's what your standard and metric cut heights would be for this 21-inch mower. Now guys, this is the all-important thing right here, is your run time. Now as I said, the battery that came with mine was a BA2800, 56 volt, 5 amp hour. Now you'll see it says light load 45 minutes, medium load 30, and a heavy load 20. And of course, it says the actual running time will vary with grass condition, the species of the grass, the density, and the moisture. And that's the big thing, is the moisture. There's times when I have to cut it because of work, whatnot. Grass might be a little longer, might be dry on top, but moisture on the bottom. So, like I said, I'm going to be giving this, once the grass starts growing here, I'm going to be giving this a test. So let's take a look at how this actually, you adjust the height, the mower cutting height. As you'll see, instead of having to deal with wheels adjustment, everything is all right here. Very nice. Numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is number 1, which is approximately 1.5 inches of cutting height. This is number 2, which is approximately 2 inches of cutting height. This is position 3, which is approximately 2.5 inches of cutting height. And this is position 4, which is approximately 3 inches of cutting height. Position 5, approximately 3.5 inches of cutting height. And finally, position 6, which is approximately 4 inches of cutting height. So here's a close-up. You'll see the numbers, 1 being the one just to the left of the numbers. And what you do is you'll pull back and then up and down. So we're going to pull back just like that. Now here's a close-up of the quick adjust lever, and this is really nice, guys. Really sweet right here. I like that, the height adjustment. It's very quick, no pins, I mean just one hand operation. So and it shows you here high, medium, and low, and then folded. And it's got a nice, looks like a stainless steel pin there for the pivot point with a C-clip holding it. And as I showed earlier, all you got to do is push this in, and it goes up and down. Storage, and then all the way down for complete storage. And of course, you'd have to bring that handle in. Now, taking a look, this actually is a metal plate insert instead of the plastic, whatever material. And I'm going to try to find out from the manufacturer when I call them what this material is made out of. But this is a steel plate. As you can see, it's got a ramp there so that when you bring it back, you don't have to pull the handle in. It will grab and catch the first one. But there you see that. When you come forward, I like the fact that that is going to be a piece of metal to the plastic in case you let it hit a little too hard. So it comes down here and it rests like that. And then for complete storage, you see the hole that we have there that it locks down into. And here's that pin, guys. You can see the sun shining. There it is. It's in, then it's out. And it's spring loaded here. So if we take a look at this, we see that all the wiring is sheathed. I can't think of the name of this stuff, but it's they use it on cars. The name escapes me, but it comes down into this unit and it goes down here, but it's all sheathed. And so I've got that hook off. So we pull that hook off, or this clamp. We see that all the wiring comes in here and it folds up nicely. And then we bring it down. Very nice design. Okay, on the back side, your battery fits up here. On the back side, you're going to see the switch for your lights are right here. Shows the lights on, it's off. And then you've got a indicator light when you're running it, and I'll show you. The green light indicates that the battery pack is over 15% of its charge capacity. The red light indicates the battery pack's charge is low, and a blinking red light indicates that the battery pack is nearly depleted and needs to be charged immediately. So let me turn it on, and you'll see this light here turn green. So here's the underside of the mower deck right after cutting. Okay, as I said, when I'm done using my lawnmower, I like to clean it off all the time so it looks new, keep it in good shape. But using water, now I can't do that with this because of the electric and stuff. But I think if I just use some shop air to blow it off, and probably like a furniture polish, whatever. Yep, that'll do it. That'll take care of it. And then, like I said, I'll call the company and find out what they recommend. But I know that a good quality furniture polish would work just as well if it gets heavily stained or dirty. Alright, so on page 35 of the manual that I have, it does say clean the mower. Always remove the battery pack when servicing or transporting the mower, which is really no different than if you had something electric, a power tool. You'd want to make sure you unplugged it from the wall, AC, or you'd want to make sure you unplugged, pulled the battery pack, because you don't want something to accidentally fire up. That would be very dangerous. And it said the underside of the mower deck should be cleaned after each use, as grass clippings, leaves, dirt, and other debris will accumulate. This accumulation is undesirable, as says here, as it would promote rust and corrosion. And it says wipe the mower clean with a damp cloth. So there again, I could use that and then follow up with a furniture wax. So that's what it talks about there. Next, we're going to take a look at this blade. Now, one thing, as I said earlier, guys, to clean the mower deck and everything, I'm just going, when I tip this, I'm just going to tip in the grass so it's soft, doesn't scratch up. And the beauty of an electric mower is you don't have to worry about the possibility of oil running out of the crankcase or into the, if you tip it wrong, into the carburetor. So, but what I'm doing is I don't want to put any pressure in your height adjustment. So I'm tipping it to the, what would be the right side of the mower. As you're standing behind the mower, pushing it, be the right side opposite your adjustment for the height. So that way it's resting on more solid surface and not really pushing against that. And as I said, always remove your battery. You don't want anything to fire up accidentally. Alright, so up in here you'll see this hole in this outer diameter. There's a hole. They call that a stabilizer on page 35 of the manual. They say to put a stabilizer, which I'm going to use a 1/4 inch diameter punch in there. So this is a 1/4 inch diameter punch. I'm going to put that in here so that when we take the blade off, it's, you're not having to hold this. This will keep pressure to take it off. Now the manual says a 9/16 or 14 millimeter. I'm using a 14 millimeter box wrench, and to take it off, these are right hand threads. So as you're looking at it, to put the bolt on, it's right hand, so you go clockwise. Take it off, go counterclockwise. So here's, I've got that on there like that. Then I'm just going to use a soft face hammer just to give this a little nudge. So I'm not really, it's just easier to do, and I'll come out here like this. Okay, there it is. So now we've got that loose. So there's your bolt. There's a plate that has a flat on it that will go on the flat side of the shaft. And then there's your mower blade. And let's see, what's the number on there? It says CH37059 LM2101. I'm assuming that's the one that you need for this unit. It also says this side facing the grass, so when you put it on, you don't want it like that. Keep it like this. This will go down. So this is your inner flange and then your fan behind it, and that'll pop out of here just like this. And they do try to keep this fan clean. So that's why when you're done all the time, you want to blow it off and clean it. You don't need to take it apart. If you just blow off the underside like this, that'll be fine. And then there's the shaft of the mower and the motor. So now everything is in reverse order. I'm going to put our inner flange on there like that. Put that on. It's got that flat, so that flat's going to go. That's what keeps this rotating, so it can't slip. The way it's designed, this goes on here like that. That'll maintain this fan to always turn. Next, we want to put on our small washer, spacer, and it can only go on one way also. Yeah, let's see here. Okay. It's got a taper right there, so there it is. Yep, there's a small taper. You can see a slight taper, it looks like right there. So we'll put that side down, just like that. Okay guys, I've got the dimensions of this bolt in case you were to lose it. Wanted to replace it and get it locally. This is a flange bolt. You can see it's got like a built-in washer on it. So what we have is a 10 by 1.5 millimeter by 25 millimeter long bolt. That means it's 10 millimeters in diameter. It has 1.5 threads per millimeter, and again 25 millimeters in overall length from the back side of this flange to the end. So as we indicated before, make sure that your blade says this side facing grass. We'll put that on like that. Take your bolt. Again, it was a right-handed bolt, so just like you'd put on a regular bolt, turn it clockwise, just like that. And when I did this, I lined up the two holes on the inner flange with the blade as it was when I took it off. So now what I did is I put a different pin in here, and I put my 1/4 inch in this, and I'm just going to initially take my 14 millimeter box and just tighten it a little bit. And then the specs say to tighten this bolt 36 to 43 foot-pounds. So I'm going to take my torque wrench with my 14 millimeter socket on it, and I've got it initially set for 15 foot-pounds. So there's a 15. Now let me go to, let's see, 36. And I'm just going to go to 36. Well, I'll go to 35. I'll go to 35 with it now. Let me set it 30. And there's the 5. And there it is. So as you can see, you definitely need to have a pin in here. You don't want to be holding that with your hand. So that works out great, just like that. Our blade is installed. Well, we've got it tipped over. Let's look at the front wheels. They are approximately 7 inches in diameter by 1 5/8 inches wide. The rear tires are approximately 9 inches in diameter by 2 inches wide. And to the rear of the mower deck, You have this rear shield from throwing grass back at you. It's a pliable rubber. And so this is the front side of the bottom. And we'll just take a look at how it's made going back. Here you can see how this thing is made. This is where all your grass will either be ejected out of the side or into the grass catcher. So far I would say the ergonomics of this is really nice. You've got down here a nice place for lifting, whether you lift it yourself, have somebody help, you can lift it up there. You also have in the back here a nice handle where you can lift it up. So if I do this, I'm thinking about, if I end up keeping this, like I said, I want to put it through its paces, I'll probably make some kind of a rack or do something, and may hang it up right here. This looks like a good spot to do that, but I don't know. I still have to study that. We'll see. Okay guys, the next step I'm going to try, you do at your own risk. I'm going to try to defeat some of the safeties. Again, you do this at your own risk. As you can recall, I said earlier, with this down, the handle down, it will not start up. I do have the battery in there. It will not start up. So I believe there's a switch right in here that I'm going to try to override. So again, for your own safety, you do this at your own risk. But I want to be able to use this with the handle all the way in that you see here, instead of having to extend it out. So the first thing I'm going to do here, we've got 8 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With the number 2 Phillips screwdriver, I'm going to take all those out. And when you take that apart, you're going to have this piece, which will be resting here, which is what the clamp pushes down on. It's got a piece of rubber, so just don't lose that. And so here's the switch, guys, right here. Let me loosen up this other handle, this other lock on that side, and I'll hold this. When I push this up, you see how that switch, that opened that up. And then when we close the handle, see how it pushes against it? Now that shuts it off so that it cannot be operated in the low position. Now to make sure I don't lose any of these little small screws, I used a magnetic tray to put them in while I was disassembling. So what we're going to do is take this piece that activates that switch out, the spring and this piece right here, so that way when the handle goes down, it doesn't activate that, and it should start. So this is what I'm talking about right here, the spring and this thing right here. So here it is out of the housing, and this is what it should look like now inside. That piece is no longer in here. Now what I did, guys, is when I put these two halves together, I started all the screws, but I didn't finish tightening them. I wanted to make sure every screw was in first so that I knew everything was properly positioned. Then I'll go ahead and then tighten them down all by hand. So guys, let's see how that works. The handle is all the way in. It should not start, but we've overridden that little cam thing, or that little mechanism that when it's all the way down, it pushes in, hits the switch, and shuts off, breaks the contact. So let's see what happens here. There it is. So now the handle's all the way in, and you can use it that way. So I would much prefer, for myself, to have the handle down, not all the way out. So again, it's a safety feature that the company Ego determined they needed. So if you do something like this, it is at your own risk. Remember, your feet will be closer to the lawnmower. Also, you may not be able to use the bagger like that. I don't know how, you might be too close to the bagger, but I don't use a bagger anyway, so for me it does not matter. Right, there's another switch on here that should be down into that housing, and so let's turn it on, and when you get up so far it'll shut off, so it's got to be in the backward position. I'll show you this. There's a switch. I could hear the switch click. See if you can hear it. Right there. Okay guys, to take that top cover off, it's sitting just like it would if we were going to set it on there. It'd go on just like that. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws to take out, and then it leaves you what you see in here. Now if we take a look, that mechanism for the folding handle is right here. Here's your switch. Okay, it's right there. You'll see this white piece on the back. So as you flip this handle up, right there, you'll see how that hits and creates contact. So let's look at that. So this is a simple one, guys. All I did was take a couple turns around this switch with some good quality electrical tape that holds it in there. So basically it's acting the same as if that cam, or if that piece of nylon was pushing up against that switch. And so now it'll start. But again, this is something that you do at your own risk. This is a feature that Ego put on, and I'm just taking it off for myself. Something that I'm going to do is always pull the battery. When I'm done with the unit, pull the battery. So by altering the two switches the way I did, it it was done non-destructively, so I can always go back and put it right back to original and no damage is done. Alright, so this has been sitting on here for some time, this grass. When I cut it and it was damp, I just tested this. I haven't really done a good cutting yet, but I wanted the grass to dry and I want to see how hard that comes off on this composite material. So I've wet a paper towels. Let's see what happens. Yeah, look at that. That's amazing. All that is, and that sat on there, that's been on there now for about a week, because I just tried this last week when it was really wet in the morning, and I wanted it to get on there and dry. And look at that. That is truly amazing. Comes right off, and it's easy too. Didn't have to push hard at all. Alright, so I want to see how this thing cuts. I'm going to actually start trimming. The grass has gotten long enough. I've let it get just a little bit longer. I'm going to be cutting it on number 4, which is actually supposed to be around 3 inches tall. So, and I'm going to mount the camera on this fancy little mount here that I have from Really Right Stuff, and we'll see how it comes out the side chute here. Okay, now the neighbor is cutting grass, so you might hear his lawnmower. Okay, I did 3 passes and we're in between cuts, so I wanted to see what kind of a windrow it would make. So that's with the side discharge. Now I'm going to go ahead and put on the mulching attachment and see how that works. Okay, I've got the mulching attachment. Alright, that mulch attachment worked really well. The grass is pretty dry. It was real damp this morning, but it's dry now. So I really like that mulch attachment. Didn't leave any windrows. Now here, guys, I've got a couple spots in my backyard that for some reason the grass grows taller. I'm going to try cutting a couple of these spots with the mulching attachment and see how well it does. See if the engine bogs down. Well, you could hear the engine bogged down, and you can see, even with the mulching attachment, it was so long. I wish I should have gotten a video of it first, but it was about as tall as this grass right here. And I've got spots that I'm working on seeding, some low spots, I'm working on that. But in this area, for whatever reason, and it was this tall, so that's what I was cutting through. And it's probably damp too, since it's so tall. It's damp versus the shorter grass. So you definitely got to have dry grass to use that mulcher, or it's going to do this. If you, for some reason, aren't able to get to your grass right away, you'll probably have to use a side discharge or collect it in the bag. So I'm going to try now is going back over those same spots where it left those clumps of grass and see how it works with the mulcher. See what it does. Okay, it did a pretty decent job. Still nothing like being able to cut it at the right length. You can still see it left some here. So it's not perfect, but then you shouldn't let your grass get this tall. Like I said, this is just a couple spots in the backyard that got to this extent. Most of it isn't that tall. And again, I am cutting at 3 inches. So I guess if the grass got away from you, you'd have to cut it at a higher setting, and then maybe cut it twice. But this is my mower here. It's just going to be used for trimming. So I've got a Kubota that I use, 23 horse diesel, for the majority of the grass. This lawnmower is only going to be used for trimming. Okay, so I purposely cut grass in with my Kubota to bunch up grass. I want to see how this handles clumps of grass like that with the side discharge on. Okay, it didn't do a bad job. It powered through. You can see towards the end it bogged down a bit, but obviously going to leave a lot of windrows. My thing was just to see what kind of power this mower engine has. So it seems to be pretty good. Okay guys, so on the right side you're going to see my 21-inch Toro personal pace lawnmower, 159cc gas engine, that I bought April 12th of 2012, and I paid $599.99 for that lawnmower. Really like it. As you can see, I take care of it. It's got a few scrapes on the side, but it still shines. I keep the thing clean, and I wax it several times a year. And I gotta be honest, I believe I'm gonna be taking back the Ego. The issue is, it just, with my experience in using gasoline lawnmowers, it just doesn't, the Ego's not going to have the power that my gasoline one has, just by using it here, and that's what I wanted, a chance for the grass to grow and give it a try, because there's times when you're busy at work, you just don't have the time to, it's going to get away from you. And I basically use it for trimming, and you always don't have the opportunity to cut when it's extremely dry or the right length. And I think the Ego, for me, with my situation, just won't be a good mix. So I'm going to be returning the Ego. That said, that doesn't mean that it's not a viable lawnmower for somebody in their situation. I think the Ego is excellent for somebody with a small yard in the city. I believe it's well designed. I really like the features. You don't have to deal with changing oil. You can tip it over to clean it. You don't have to worry about what side to tip over. Are you going to get oil mixed with in the carb or in the gas? You know, you don't have to worry about oil getting into places it shouldn't be, out of the crankcase. And definitely a very nice mower. So I'm not knocking it in any respect. I wish it had a little more power, and like I said, I'm going to stick with the gasoline one for now.